The Watson Weekly podcast is sponsored by Miracle. Because traditional e-commerce is just code for not growing, it's time to do better than the status quo. Join over 450 retailers who are scaling 6 times faster with AI, automation, and a platform built for what's next. Marketplace, dropship, and retail media at enterprise-grade scale. It's time to accelerate with Miracle. It's September 8th, 2025, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Today on our show, Shopify betting big on design. Amazon still stuck muddling through day 2. Why software sales is still hard in 2025. And a new podcast from me where SaaS meets AI. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, Shopify betting big on design as once and future king in the age of AI. Toby in the past has called himself a design superfan. It's reflected in the growth of Shopify, and I think it's underappreciated in the company's history. There have been recent news with Shopify in design, but it wasn't the first. Actually, for that, you must go back to 2013. Shopify acquired Jet Cooper, a UX design studio which brought Satish Kanwar to Shopify. Interestingly, Shopify used to have a head of design, a co-founder, Daniel Wienand, who ended his time there around 2017. Fast forward, when Shopify exited logistics in 2023, it was clear where the puck was moving. Shopify was preparing to shed anything that would distract from its core. You might say that 2024 was the year Shopify hit overdrive in its AI investment. Kevin Scott was added to the board, and a new AI-focused CTO, and the launch of Sidekick. In 2025, what's happening in Shopify's world? Design is colliding with AI. Just in 2025, Horizons launched, which allowed AI-generated sections. A complete AI storefront builder was announced. Sidekick gained new capabilities such as designing promotions and banners. Carl Rivera, formerly head of Shop App, formerly founder of Ticktail, now Shopify Chief Design Officer. Carl's promotion ended an 8-year spell at Shopify without a head of design. Carl was previously responsible for Shop App and Shop Pay. And Shopify Design Studio was just reborn last week with the acquisition of Molly Design Studio by Shopify. So where's the puck moving now? Of course, it's anyone's guess, but we like to guess here at the podcast, right? Creating companies that differentiate on design in the age of AI seems to be the bet. And a new C-level role, clearly. And keep in mind, that role, this is from a company that has 0 chief marketing officer and hasn't since 2020. But now they have another chief design officer. Priorities. While you may or may not agree with the bet Shopify is making, it's important for the ecosystem to recognize a tremendous bet has in fact been made inside of Shopify. And a bet I believe that's equal to its focus on AI and equal to its previous focus on logistics. As I said, in focus, not capital. And that bet is on the primacy of design as a competitive, sustainable differentiator in the age of AI. And frankly, I think the bet is kind of simple from a premise point of view. Experiences need taste, and Shopify aims to provide it, along with all the tooling that merchants and agencies need to succeed and differentiate in the age of AI. The bear side of this bet is kind of simple too. If AI becomes an Uber designer on its own, it kind of might be a dumb bet, but that's why it's a bet, right? Still, this is not a bet which feels risky to Shopify. Instead, it feels, well, comfortable. Almost like something that bet on before that seems to have turned out pretty well for them. Our second story. Amazon still stuck muddling through day 2. Now what? On the heels of a reportedly slower Prime sign-up from the last Prime Day, Amazon is trying to figure out how to borrow from Netflix and other players to trim some account sharing of Prime-free shipping with non-household members. Some outlets called this a great benefit. To be honest, I didn't even know this was a benefit. But on the heels of recent reports of a slower Prime Day signups, it's not necessarily a good look. I expect part of the thesis on slower signups is that wealthier households are starting to become saturated, and those sharing the benefits with kids are now just going to have to pony up more formally. Really? If that's true, it sounds like a tweak. Either way, you're not going to solve the fundamental problem facing Amazon, which is a seemingly endless acceleration of day two thinking. There are numerous reports out there that Amazon is trying to return to its hardcore culture. It's kind of laughable. The reality is, once the genie is out of the bottle, it simply does not get put back in. In other words, a non-founder like Jassy trying to execute founder mode priorities at Amazon sites comes off like another warmed-over three-letter acronym revamp. We want leaders who act like owners. Yet, these owners need to monitor their phone usage, itemize their meal reimbursements, and return to office where you want me to. Doesn't sound like ownership to me. To you? Truth is, Amazon had a famously frugal culture that employees complain about, but they knew the drill. Jeff still had the door desk, right? Who am I to complain? But, my friends, we are long past this. Yes, these are the days that Jeff warned us all about. One investor even mused that Jeff might need to come back to rein in things. But the reality is, even if Jeff came back, founder mode would not return. Why? The answer is simple. 127-meter yacht Jeff is not the same as door desk Jeff. And my advice to them would be very simple. Stop talking so damn much about the bureaucracy and start delivering more for the customer. Amazon has a ton of great qualities, fantastic people, and outstanding service. Your people are not the enemy. They're your greatest enablers. If your supposed fantastic leadership, of which Jassy was a leader for most of this time, was so freaking great, why are there so many bad people? I just hope that Amazon doesn't get lost in a corporate quagmire of the worst thing, self-doubt. Our third story. Why software sales is still so hard in 2025. Most new sales leaders and co-founders think things are pretty simple. Step 1, spam enough people to get a meeting with somebody who will listen. Step 2, feature vomit all the things. Step 3, a miracle happens. Step 4, revenue. And to that, I have one question for you. Are you smarter than Steve Jobs? He famously hated enterprise sales. Why? Just listen to this. What I love about the consumer market that I always hated about the enterprise market is that we come up with a product, we try to tell everyone about it, and everyone votes for themselves. They go yes or no, and if enough of them say yes, we get to come to work tomorrow. That's how it works. It's really simple. With the enterprise market, it's not so simple. The people that use the products don't decide for themselves, and the people that make those decisions are confused. Simply, the user is not the economic buyer, and the economic buyer has other motivations. This simple insight captures the bulk of problems in most software companies today. And what we have here, like Cool Hand Luke, is a failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So says the captain. And I have a feeling Steve Jobs was a big fan of the captain in the movie. And I can't tell you how long it's taken me to learn and incorporate simple insights like this. And if you've ever found yourself thinking after a demo, surely they're going to go with us, they have so many problems. You actually have no idea what business you're in. You're not in the business of solving problems. Any business has thousands of problems, most of which a buyer will never tell you about. Instead, you're in the business of creating trust. Yes, even in the age of AI, is this still true? And our last story, a new podcast where SaaS meets AI, Shift. In case you missed it, last week I launched a brand new podcast, and you can find it on the RMW Commerce YouTube channel. Shift is a podcast at the collision between AI and the typical way we run software as a service providers for the last 25 years. How are you changing how your company operates? Is it different for each department? And how do you lead through that change? Take a listen to a quick preview of me with John Chow, CTO and co-founder of order management company Pipe 17. Do you think everyone's pretty transparent with their usage? I can imagine if you're not at the cutting edge, there might be some fear.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when there's so much like hype around something, if you're not using it, you almost feel like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit hesitant to speak up and like ask questions like and even for people that has they were curious, they tried it before. This like AI is moving so quickly. Like what 6 months ago is kind of irrelevant now, and what
Right.
was bad 6 months ago is like really really good now. So I think there's definitely this hesitancy to talk about it, like what I do, how do I use it, what's wrong, etc.
Hmm. Obviously, you're responsible for engineering, but as a co-founder, I think we both know you're also taking out the trash and you're responsible for everything. At the end of the day, what made you realize that this wasn't an engineering issue, and then you're going to have to push kind of beyond your own role?
Um, I think I think just kind of going through and yeah, again going back to hearing people how they use it, realizing that okay, it definitely has helped me a lot. And I also think
Uh-huh.
that like especially for the creative side of the business,
Hmm.
like marketing or like the customer engagement part, right? There's significant help. But then after talking to them, some of the team member might not have found success initially.
Hmm.
And then this is where like, okay, it's not just about getting the engineering team to leverage AI or to build AI, but it's also getting everyone else within the company because that's still a significant part. Like we're a software company, we have a big we have a good engineering team, but the sales, marketing, all those departments could also embrace and get the benefit as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, did you find that you got resistance from some people, or like did you had to press people like, look, we talked about this last week, 2 weeks ago, and it doesn't seem like you've tried it out. Like, what's really going on here? Like, almost like a therapist, like an AI therapist.
Well, okay, maybe yeah, maybe not go that far as a therapist, but funny enough, like I think the outside of engineering organization, there wasn't much hesitancy where people just didn't really know how to use it.
Uh-huh.
Either they didn't have the time or to invest in figuring out like what's the best use for. Like we actually had some initial resistance within the engineering team because often they're the first one to try it and try the tools out,
Yeah.
and they tried it like a year ago maybe, and they're like, okay, it's not so good.
It's that time, friends, for our investor minute. First, Bonsai secures $1.8 million investment for first-party marketing intelligence platform. Bonsai, our first-party marketing intelligence platform, announced that it raised $1.8 million in funding, which will be invested in product development and go-to-market initiatives. Second, Flexport sells Convoy's technology to DAT. Flexport announced that it sold Convoy's technology platform to DAT, a business unit of publicly traded Roper Technology, for a reported price of nearly $250 million after acquiring it for a reported $16 million. Third, Global E acquires Return Go to enhance post-purchase experiences. Cross-border e-commerce platform Global E announced that it's required Return Go to enable merchants to offer enhanced post-purchase experiences through easier returns and exchanges. The acquisition price was undisclosed. And finally, Figma starts trading on NYSE after IPO. Design software company Figma raised $1.22 billion from its initial public offering. It's now a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange with ticker FIG. Did you know that RMW Commerce has another podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively e-commerce chat each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host Jess Lasewski, and an array of interesting guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/WatsonWeekly and wherever you get your podcasts.